Hey guys, peace. Welcome to another chit chat. I'm gonna do a video. It's actually pretty late, but I wanted to do another video. I did a video earlier today about Virgo season, and I wanted to do another video that was inspired by a song, one of my favorite songs that popped up in my head one morning, I don't know, the last couple of days. And it came with a theme of this concept of suffering. And like I said, it's a song of mine or a song that that's been a favorite of mine for a while. So it's a Joni Mitchell song, and the title is the Sire of Sorrow. And what's really cool about it is the story of Job from the Bible or the Torah. And it's just very poetic. So I'm going to play it. How about that, before I talk a lot? And then I'll go back and maybe review the lyrics, and then maybe talk a little bit about I did make some notes, or I actually wrote a little journal about it after. Like I said, it was based on a morning in the last couple of days that I woke up and was just kind of feeling a little the ebbs and flows of this energy. But there's a lot said about suffering in Buddhist culture specifically, as well as really all cultures. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time, and we'll see if I upload it because it's pretty late. As you can see, it's hot still. It's very late at night, but it's still pretty hot. And I'm not running an air conditioner. I'm just running a fan. So, yeah. Okay, so let me play this. I hope you're able to hear it. I'll try to turn it up. Well, yeah, it doesn't want to play. Okay, hang on, let me take it all the way back. Let me take it all the way back. Okay, there we go. Let me spit out my bitterness. Born of breathing, nights without sleep, and frustrated flesh. Do you have eyes? Can you see like mankind sees? Why have you soured and could have been? Oh, you got us watching. What have I done to you? That you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true. I might sing with some of it. Once I was blessed, I was awaited like the rain. Like I
for the blind, like feet for the lame. Kings heard my words, and they sought out my company. But now the janitors of Shadowland flick their brooms at me. Oh, you tireless watcher, what have I done to you that you make everything I dread, everything I fear come true? Man is the Sire of Sorrow. I've lost my taste for life among complaints. Tell me why you starve the faithful. Why do you crucify the saints? You let the wicked prosper, the children frisk like deer. My love's dead or dying. We don't despise or chastening. God is correcting you. And look who comes to counsel my deep distress. All these pompous positions, but carelessness. All is vanity, all is wind, filling our ears with trash, breathtaking ignorance, adding insult to injury. They come blaming and shaming evildoers. This vain man wishes to seem wise, man more the lastless. Oh, you tireless watcher, what have I done to you that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? We don't despise your chastening. On a bed of sighs and tears, still you torture me with visions. You give me terrifying dreams. Better I was carried from the womb straight to the grave. I see the diggers waiting, they're leaning on their spades. Man is the Sire of Sorrow, sure as the sparks are seen. Where is hope? While you're wondering what went wrong, why give me light and this dark little thing? Evil is stealing your love, hiding under your tongue. Show your face, show your face. But I long for from grace. Help me understand. What is the reason for your heavy hand? You're stumbling shadows. You have no name of my youth. What have I done to you that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? Oh, your heroes display so Everything I dread and everything I fear come true. Mine is the sire of sorrow.
Oh, you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true. Applause, applause, applause. So that is Job's sad song. And if you have ever read the book of Job in the Bible, you will recall the story of how God basically, it's described as God was actually testing Job. And he told the devil that, well, the devil basically told God the only reason why Job is such a faithful servant is because you've given him so much. Look at what you've given him, because Job was rich and prosperous. And he said, if you take all that away from him, he'll curse you and he won't, be faithful and loyal. And God said, no, he won't. God called Job perfect and upstanding. So for some reason or another, which was part of my lamentation the other day, God played this weird game with the devil and allowed him to persecute Job in the form of all types of horrible calamities, from his children dying, to, of course, losing everything, and becoming sick on his deathbed, basically. And so his continued litany was, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away, blessed be the name of the Lord. So it was a continual praise, even though he was being tried and tested, right? But part of the conversation I was having with myself and whatever spiritual guides that were around me at the time, on behalf of myself and others, there's a lot of suffering that goes on in the world. I remember years ago, before I even knew, the way I learned about Kuan Yin decades ago is I channeled her energy. She came to me, and I didn't know who she was, and I wasn't even really all that keen on Our Lady Guadalupe at the time. This was years ago, decades ago. And then she showed up. She appeared in some form or another. And then I got some kind of validation or verification of who she was. And I learned about the path of, compassion. A few years ago, when I was in Japan, they have this beautiful shrine in the middle of Tokyo, I think. Is it in Tokyo or Kyoto? In Tokyo. And it is, when I was there, I just cried, because it was just that moving. It's a shrine in the middle of the city that people, come from work to light the incense and, sit and meditate and pray at. So Kuan Yin is still devotedly loved Just as Our Lady Guadalupe in Mexico, same type of energy. And Yemaya, Oshun, in Greek, who's, I can't remember which goddess it is in Greek culture. It's not Athena, because she's like war, right? So whatever of course I used to know all the Roman and Greek goddesses, but I've kind of forgotten them because they go back to grade school, and I don't access those forms of goddess energy as much as I do now. The ones that have been not as well known in the last several years in our culture, our modern culture. So listen, let me read these lyrics, if I can do them justice, because it's honestly just a big choral poem. She redid this song. I can't recall who it was, but you can go check it out, or maybe I'll play it another time. An orchestra picked it up and did it live, a live recording of it. And what's fascinating is the chorus. It's written like a Greek scene, where you have, in ancient times, in the dramas or plays, they would have this group of men called the chorus, literally called the chorus. That's where you get the word chorus from. I have a degree in theater. And they would be this group that would basically be echoing the thoughts and words of the people, as juxtaposed in between the dialogue and, soliloquies, monologues. So in this version with the orchestra, they have this group of men, choral, maybe, again, like 3 or 4, which is pretty authentic. They have them singing the chorus part. That's the part. So when you hear this sort of, in the song, you hear this sort of the chorus part, not the chorus literally like the repeated verse, but the part that kind of sounds like it's different people talking. So again, it's pretty late at night. I don't know if I'll be able to do a great dramatic interpretation, but I just want you to hear the lyrics to this song, okay? Let me speak. Let me speak. Let me spit out my bitterness, born of grief and nights without sleep and festering flesh. Do you have eyes? Can you see like mankind sees? Why have you soured and curdled me? Oh, you tireless watcher, what have I done to you that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? Once I was blessed. I was awaited like the rain, like eyes for the blind, like feet for the lame. Kings heard my words and they sought out my company, but now the janitors of Shadowland flick their brooms at me. Oh, you tireless watcher, what have I done to you that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? I've lost all taste for life. I'm all complaints. Tell me, why do you starve the faithful? Why do you crucify the saints? and you let the wicked prosper. You let their children frisk like deer, while my loves are dead and dying, or they don't come near. And then the chorus, we don't despise your chastening. God is correcting you. Oh, and look who comes to counsel my deep distress. Oh, these pompous physicians, what carelessness. Oh, all this ranting, the chorus again, all this wind, filling our ears with trash, breathtaking ignorance, adding insult to injury. They come blaming and shaming, and they say, evildoer, and shattering me. This vain man wishes to seem wise, a man born of asses. Oh, you tireless watcher, what have I done to you, that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? Already on a bed of sighs and screams, and still you torture me with visions. You give me terrifying dreams. Better I was carried from the womb straight to the grave. I see the diggers waiting. They're leaning on their spades. Man is the sire of sorrow. The chorus again. Man is the sire of sorrow, sure as the sparks ascend. Where is hope? While you're wondering what went wrong, why give me light and then this dark without a dawn? Evil is sweet in your mouth, course, hiding under your tongue. Show your face. What a long fall from grace. I like that one. Help me understand. What is the reason for your heavy hand? You're stumbling in the shadows. You have no name now, of course. Was it the sins of my youth? What have I done to you, that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? Let me scroll down, sorry. My keys are stuck. So what have I done to you that you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true? Oh, your guilt must weigh so greatly, the chorus. Man is the sire of sorrow. Oh, you make everything I dread and everything I fear come true. Basically, that's it. So, yeah, so that's pretty heavy, but I love it. It's so cathartic when I'm really feeling, that character, that story, And so, let's see, do I want to read what I wrote? I start off by saying, I find myself asking the question sometimes, are you just not concerned? That seems like a real blasphemy. And so I retract, recoil, and beg forgiveness. But somewhere deep inside of my shadow, the question remains. And it gives way to confusion, sorrow, and often bitterness. I remember when I used to, feel really bad about, sort of, I don't know, like crying out to God, or the Creator. And I remember my aunt, who's very religious, Christian, evangelist, she used to remind me of all the characters in the Bible that, that would have this sort of, relationship with God. And, she said it's kind of like a kid, parents who allow their kids to like question them, which is, some people believe can be healthy. But anyway, I feel a little better about it now when I want to question the creator, and sort of whine and complain, and probably because in my more mature path, period of my path, as they say, you get more tested the more evolved you get, right? So remember, Job was one of God's favorites in this mythology, biblical mythology. And then on the other hand, when I'm in the understanding mode, I defend, God, and I argue to myself or to the disembodies within my mind, causing all of this confusion, that God allows our faith to be tested so he, she, it can further prove itself. But why must he, she, it need to do so? It seems so petty and anthropomorphically egoic. Why not just provide the loving care that a God is supposed to be known for? Some might say on a pagan note that it goes along with the concept or law of sacrifice, which is in every culture. That the more you sacrifice in this world, the more you set yourself up to receive. The sacrifice of your happiness and desire somehow makes you more worthy of gain. That by denying and showing your lack of true attachment, and this is where we get into the Buddhist concept, to any of the world's and ego's illusions, you develop a worthiness of actually receiving those things. So people throughout history and all religions and belief systems have sacrificed animals, right? Goats, lambs, sheep, chickens, and even humans in order to gain favor by God, or boons by the so-called lower deities or gods. They've even also denied themselves food and other so-called human necessities throughout the practice of fasting, or just self-flagellation and denial, right? In order to purify and thus demonstrate their transcendence above the obsessive attachment to the ego's desires. But, all of this seems a bit different from actually having God, quote unquote, or life take it from you against your conscious will, which is what happened to Job and what happens to many saints, as Joni speaks on. Why do you persecute the faithful? Why do you crucify the saints? It's a good question, right? So the latter seems like a punishment. And who likes the concept of a punishment, right? And when you can't seem to find a reason for such punishment, it can try your faith by destroying your hope. And this can seem like an ultimate test for which the reason eludes you, leaving you to believe or to ask, what's the point? So, is it then, in fact, this existential question that's been cultivated by powers beyond you, that places you into and onto the path of divine spiritual initiation? What's the point? Is that the point, to ask that question? Because once you ask that question in sincerity and earnest, then it sort of puts you on a path, right? Is the test to ensure that you would not turn your back on the divine and run into the arms of the shadow Lord when you can no longer bear the suffering of your ego in its longing for your desires, longing and fulfillment of your egoic desires? How does one truly cope with this? Sometimes the test can be very long and very trying. Does one surrender the ego completely? Is this the whole purpose and point? To beat you down? Yeah, why? Why allow us to be born only to experience the pain of our egos and suffering in an attempt to induce its abdication? Are we that sinful and stubborn? And if so, why not just let us perish rather than play this game of seemingly futile atonement? So that was just a journal that I wrote one morning when I woke up with a heavy spirit. And a lot of times as an empath, many of you already know this, it's not even personal. It's something you're picking up in the collective. It happens all the time. That you wake up and you absorb the energy of the collective, right? And so that, took me on a whole thing into Buddhism as well. And, the Buddhist prescription of unattachment. And I translate that constantly in my own path and mission message of, the dissolution of ego, right? That the ego, according to Buddhism and other traditions, is truly the source of suffering, of all suffering. The ego with and of course you guys know I define ego as the distinction, the self as a distinction versus the self as a plurality, or the self as a consciousness of one. Because when you have that consciousness of one and connectedness firmly embedded in your self-identity, quote unquote self-identity, then you truly treat your neighbor as yourself. You treat everyone with the same love and care. And if everyone were to get this and do this simultaneously, we would instantly transform this planet into what the Christians call New Jerusalem, or those of us who incorporate some degree of Coptic Egyptology into the translation of New Jerusalem, Heru being the hero. The word hero and heroine comes from, not the drug heroin. So, and this is where I talk about, I'm not going to get into it, but I have another video planned. I think I've talked about it before, but a lot of these things need to be revisited and rediscussed and rearticulated, again and again in different ways. But the shadow aspect of the Aquarian age, because every template has a shadow in the realm of duality and polarity, right? Pisces has a deep shadow. We just came out of the Piscean age, and a lot of people love to remind us as we move into Aquarius, or as we're firmly in it, But as we, continue in it, that the martyrdom of the Piscean age is no longer something to be, revered. And now the positive qualities of the Aquarian age are known to be, the love of the self, the care of the self, as opposed to the martyring of the self. And I certainly agree. However, the shadow side of self-love is what? We talk about this all the time. The shadow side of self-love is narcissism. And so that's what you have to ascend in this path of Aquarian self-love. Aquarian, just like any sign, I've said this many times, Aquarian has a dark side, and the dark side is almost a lack of emotion, an inability to really connect with other humans on a personal level. Impersonally, they're great. They have, which, creates a wonderful leadership persona of having a humanitarian and, connection to the welfare of the collective. But when it comes to empathy and compassion and emotion, which again is valued by a lot of, our culture, because we got, facts over feelings and money over bees and, this whole materialistic, driven, extrinsic, external, paradigm. So, those are qualities that have been celebrated, but should they be? Because the more that we focus on, like I said, it needs to be a healthy balance. Of course, we need to love ourselves. Of course, we need to care for ourselves. But we also need to love and care for other people. People always, well, not people always, but some groups of people really speak against the political paradigm of socialism. And I'm not a fan necessarily of socialism. I mean, I don't care about most political systems or whatever of the day. But I remember when I was younger and studying all that in college, and I came across communalism as a substitute for communism or socialism. Communalism is what indigenous people practiced, that you connect yourself to the group, the family, and, you see yourself as a part of a whole. Same with this planet. This planet, we're in an ecosystem. We're not in a separate, if the point was to just be about yourself, you would have incarnated onto your own planet. And I know we're moving into we're in the understanding of quantum parallel universe theory, but, again, none of that is going to really prove to be that beneficial, in my opinion, until we've connected the whole empathic telepathy, which I talked about the other day, got sidetracked by technology, with technology stealing our stream of consciousness and putting it into social media and computer and technology and AI, when it really was supposed to be us connecting telepathically. And it still happened in a limited degree, but nowhere near where it was supposed to, in a powerful rise of a more meaningful Aquarian age rising. So just like anything, I mean, we've got what 1,000, 2,000 years of Aquarian age to master this and get it right, I guess. But I guess would argue that that's just me being whatever, that we're, it's on the wrong foot to start with this narcissistic culture that we've devolved into. And that we need to go back and revisit how we care for others as well and as much as ourselves. So that went a bit beyond the topic of, suffering. And again, I'm not here to offer answers. So many people like to give you problems and provide solutions. I don't think that's always the job of, of those who share and exchange this type of information and knowledge. I think, there are things that we need to think about together, individually and together, and then come together to, to share in the answers for humanity, not just for ourselves, but for all of us. Get it for ourselves first, of course. Or it doesn't have to be first. It's not a me first. It's just, it could be simultaneously. Or it could be, coming up with answers for the whole, and then, walking back that to the individual. It doesn't always have to be me first. I know that comes from an era where people, experienced a lot of oppression at the hands of the powers that be. So it's a reclamation of that suppression and oppression. But again, as I always say, the healing is eventually supposed to kick in so that we can move to, more deeper, evolved levels of healing and growing and evolving. So anyway, there we go. I hope you enjoyed that song, that masterpiece. And if you get a chance, go back and take a listen to it and investigate and analyze during Virgo season this whole concept of suffering and, karmic law of cause and effect. I know a lot of people don't believe in karma. Scientifically, it's called cause and effect, or the law of the law of cause and effect. But there's another one, I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. It's late. Every action has a reaction. There you go. No such thing as random choice. Things don't happen to you randomly. There's a point of origin, and if you can truly own that, then every time life hands you what seems like, hard times and suffering, you can go inside Virgo season style and analyze, even if it's nothing that you can remember consciously from this lifetime. You can find the empathy of the whole template and see what is it about human nature that would allow or that would create such an effect. And by doing that, you help to sort out, some of the human template issues. And that's a huge contribution, again, Virgo style. Okay. All right, guys. So thanks again for sharing with me, or for being here. And have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you again really soon. Peace.